Public reaction is still going strong against some Nigerian senators led by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, apparently using the catchphrase, "Let the poor breathe," to make light of the harsh impact of fuel subsidy removal on the vulnerable critical mass. And with President Bola Tinubu looking every inch like a man hell-bent on further empowering the taxman, many analysts are saying it will get very tough going forward for a lot of Nigerians before the gains of the ongoing reforms begin to manifest. Joining us now to share his thoughts on all of that is Ekemini Mbeh, the House of Representatives candidate of Young Progressive Party for Ikot-Ekpene, Esienudim, Obo Takara Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State during the recent elections. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for joining us on the morning show today. Basically, let's talk Nigeria. Let's talk reality. We know how things are, and you've been a candidate trying to go to the House of Representatives in your state. What are your thoughts, given what is happening in the country today? Cost of living, inflation is high, and a lot of Nigerians are complaining. 2 months into the new administration, what will be your initial scorecard for this government?
Thank you once again for having me. Yes, I would say first and foremost, it was never going to be easy for any administration coming in to right the wrongs of the past. I mean, the Nigerian economy has been on a downward trajectory for decades. We have been, the system we operate here in Nigeria is that is looped in survival of the fittest. This is an economy wherein the businesses, every businesses in Nigeria is run by the individual, the business owners generating their power. It is here in Nigeria that you see every Nigerian becoming a government unto themselves. Nigerians, we provide power for ourselves, for our businesses. We provide light, electricity. We provide all of these basic amenities which otherwise ought to have been provided for us by the government. And so when the Tinubu administration comes in and is he has the balls to right the wrongs of the past decades, definitely is going to bite us hard. But what I want to suggest is that while so far so good in terms of the policy reforms that the president has done, starting with the fuel subsidy removal, it was definitely going to bite hard on Nigerians. We also have to look at other critical, unannounced factors that contribute to the food inflation and also the overall hardship of Nigerians. And that is the fact that there is this critical sector we have not been talking about, which is the multiple taxation that goes on across the highways of Nigeria. For instance, any trader that is buying goods from any part of the country and conveying it to wherever location he or she wants it, is being subjected to a whole lot of illegal multiple taxation all across the road. And these contribute majorly to the inflation of food prices that we have in the country. It's not just about the fuel subsidy that we are talking about here. There are critical factors like the multiple taxation, which has taken a whole lot from the traders buying goods. So if a driver is bringing something from the north to the south, you imagine the enormous taxation that he has been subjected to across our roads, and this would be reflected on the final prices that the business owner is going to sell. So whoever is going to be the end user, the consumers will have to pay for these prices. So what I want the government to do, having hit the nail on the head in terms of subsidy removal, which was long overdue, the government has to look into this industry of exploiters who are exploiting the Nigerian business owners. For instance, a case study is in my local government, Obo Takara local government area where I come from, in Akwa Ibom State. In that local government area, traders are subjected to more than 10 illegal roadblocks, instituted by the citizens, getting unnecessary taxation from the people. And what do you expect when these people have been subjected to this, and this will reflect in the final prices that they are going to set to sell their goods? So when you put this side by side with the fuel subsidy, the increment in PMS, it goes a long way to show you that the inflation that we're having now is not just merely because of the fuel subsidy removal, but because of other factors. So this Nigerian economy, where the business owners, the small, medium-scale enterprises, that is the backbone of every economy, has been subjected to untold hardship. So it's not just about the fuel subsidy alone. The government has to tackle this aspect as well, because if not, things are going to gradually keep going up and going up and going up. So the president, in his wisdom, we have to commend the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu, for the bold step that he has taken, the executive orders that he has given in terms of excise duty, the taxation policy that he is about to implement. We have to commend him, but we also have to remind him that Nigeria, you cannot build on nothing. This economy is an economy whereby things are not done like it's supposed to be in the same climb, like we always talk about. This is an economy where the government cannot provide power to the people. The people are the one providing powers for themselves, providing water for themselves. So when you take out the only commodity that every average Nigerian is able to use to either fund his business, and you make it extremely very hard, for every Nigerian to be able to cope with the current realities, then something has to be done drastically to curb this menace, the decadence in the federal highways. And also, we have seen that the president has had several meetings with critical stakeholders across the sector of the economy. We've seen his meeting with the TLC, the NLC, the Governors Forum, the Progressive Governors Forum. But one critical aspect that we haven't seen the president, convene a meeting with is the local government council chairman. The 774 of them has to be inculcated in any policy direction that this government is going to. So we expect the president to invite all the local government council chairmen and see how we can, unbundle the local government council to be able to start functioning and doing their constitutional role that they are supposed to do. And I think with that, if we are able to set the local government council free and then dismantle this illegal taxation that we are having in the country, I think we should be able to control the level of hardship and suffering that the Nigerian people have been subjected to.
Out a few things that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing, but I want to speak specifically about the engagement that you said that he's been having with the NLC. But we know that the president hasn't personally met with the Labour Congress directly himself. Yes, there is a steering committee in place, but we know that nothing is happening. Only 2 days ago, the representatives of the Labour NLC, Nigerian Labour Congress, had to leave that meeting impromptu because they claim that the representative of the federal government were not at that meeting. And therefore, the three key issues that needed to be addressed, the issue of mass transportation, the issue of cash transfers as palliatives, and the issue of the gas-powered vehicles, could not be addressed because there was nobody from the side of government. But here you are hailing the fact that the president is meeting with Labour, but nothing is happening. And here Nigerians are still suffering. What do you have to say to that?
Look, we have to come to the understanding that it is not just the president that can fix this country. The president, as much as he has the genuine intentions to change the fortunes of this country, needs people of like minds to work with in every strata of leadership. So whoever is being appointed or saddled with the responsibility of doing one or whatever has to have that genuine intention and the political will to put things right. The president will not do everything. The president will designate powers and responsibilities to people. That is why it is very imperative that the president gets it right in terms of his appointment, so that whosoever has been given a responsibility to carry out will be able to do what he has to do. Mm-hmm. We are no longer in a point where we can afford to, bring in anybody into roles of leadership just because for the sake of bringing in people. We have to select people that are competent, not just competent, people that have the integrity, people that know that the pulse of this country needs people that we have to turn things around. So the NLC, the labor union that you're talking about, will have to understand that it is not just going to happen overnight. The Nigeria that we're looking for is not just going to happen overnight. Remember, like I said, this is an economy that has been built on survival of the fittest. So if we are trying to move away from being survival of the fittest to an objective economy where the necessary infrastructural provisions have been put in place for businesses to thrive, for other sectors of the economy to grow, then we have to be patient with the president and patient with the federal government. It's not going to happen overnight. Like I said, whoever is being saddled with responsibility of bringing his wealth of experience onto the table has to do it and know that this country is boiling and we have to bring in competent and people with integrity to do that. So we would also call on the union, the labor union, or the unions we have to be realistic in their expectations. When we said we wanted to remove subsidy, we all knew that it was going to have a ripple effect, and that is what we are facing now. We have to look at the short, the medium, and the long-term benefits of whatever we're doing. And as we go, we have to be measuring each and every point if we are getting the desired outcome that we need. We have to. That is why the president has to make sure that he has a fixed long, short, and medium-term policies and strategies in place. So that has to be done. Once that is done, I think in no less a time, we are going to begin to see things taking a positive trajectory in the country, and hopefully Nigerians will benefit from these policy reforms, and then we'll be able to have the Nigeria that we want.
Mr. Mbeh, you seem to be echoing the president who continues to urge Nigerians to be patient and sympathetic to the hardships brought about by his economic and monetary policies. He projected that the difficulties would eventually result in a more affluent and inclusive economy. However, in looking at these policies that seem to be aimed at empowering the tax systems, but are we looking at how these reforms can be balanced to ensure that they do not overly burden the already struggling population? You also spoke about him having the right team of people. I want to know what your take is on the 28 names that were submitted for the ministerial, for Tinubu's cabinet. And I know that economic reforms are often accompanied by short-term challenges before long-term gains are realized. But amidst the subsidy removal and the new tax regime, what strategies can be employed to effectively communicate these reforms to the public and manage the expectations during this transitional phase? So my first thing to you is, we're looking at, are you saying that people should be patient? Shouldn't it have been a situation where all the mechanisms were put in place before we're looking at this crash in government labor relations, at fuel subsidy removal, at increased electricity tariff, and also your take on the ministerial list, Mr. Mbeh?
Thank you very much. Like I said, we have to understand one thing. The fulcrum of national development starts from the local government council. For years now, we have had our local government has been in comatose, and that cannot, bode well for the nation that we intend to have. Mind you, the federal government cannot be the solely responsible for the development of this country. The role of the local government council is very paramount in terms of nation building. We all have traveled abroad. We've seen how organized the system is over there. It's because everybody, there is a division of labor there is a division of labor in the sense that the local council is doing their job, the state is doing their job, and the federal or regional, as the case may be, is also doing their jobs. But here in Nigeria, we leave everything to either the state government or the federal government. The state government has been practicing, should I say, a kleptocracy system of government, whereby what is meant for the local council has been taken away from them and given a paltry sum to run the council. In most cases in Nigeria, all across the country, you see that the local council is just being a monument of some sort, wherein they only go in there to share whatever little paltry sum that has been given to them by the state government. So as far as the federal government is having a genuine intention to change the trajectory of the economy of Nigeria, I would also suggest that he carries the local government council on board in his transformation agenda. Why am I saying so? Because he cannot do it all by himself. The federal government cannot solve all the problems of this country. The problem emanates first from the local council, from the local level. And in this local level, it has been left dormant for so long. So we have to resuscitate and give all the constitutional provision backing that is needed to the local government to function. If the local government is the first employer of labor, we have to see a situation where the local council begins to initiate projects, execute projects, commission projects. You know, if we have a local council employ, let's say, for instance, 1,500 of citizens, you know, in their local council. Now you multiply that by the 774 local government council we have in this country. You see that we're talking about approximately 2 million people being employed. And that will save the federal and the state government from unnecessary pressure from Nigerians. That will take over 2 million people out of the streets and have them gainfully employed. So that is number one. We cannot do this in isolation. The Nigeria that we're looking for, we cannot build it in isolation, excluding the local council. So the role of the local council cannot be overemphasized. We have to bring them on board and make sure that they do their constitutional duties that they ought to have done. Now, that's number one. You've asked about the ministerial list. First and foremost, I have to say that I've seen the list, though we've heard that another list is coming. But from what we have seen about 7 female women that have been, brought into the federal cabinet. And I think that is the first time in this country that we're having about 25% female women in the federal executive cabinet. We have a good blend of young and the old. We have, I think the youngest there is from Cross River State, Honorable Betty, who is, I think, 36 years of age. We also have, she's doing well for herself. We also have seasoned administrators in the former governors, like that of Jigawa, Malam El Rufai, the governor of the former governor of River State, His Excellency Nyesom Wike. These are people that have track records of administrative prowess and competence, and I believe that the president has, captured the very essence of what he intends to do for the country by blending both the young and the old, into his cabinet. So I think we should, as Nigerians, should allow some time for them to get started, get to work, and then we see how they are going to perform. So I've heard series of comments about who should have been there, who ought not to have been there. Let me tell you, we cannot do everything without the wealth of experiences of some of these people. For instance, Nyesom Wike, I'm a very big fan of His Excellency Nyesom Wike over what he has done in River State, and I have no doubt in my mind that wherever ministry that he's been, given to perform, I think he's going to do a whole lot. And somebody like Malam El Rufai, this is somebody who was very vocal in making sure that power comes back to the South.
All right.
During the last election.
Okay.
So I think we have to give the president and the cabinet some time to get started, and then let's see how they can perform.
All right, then thank you so much for being here on the morning show, Mr. Mbeh Ekemini, former YPP House of Representatives member.